The clock struck 3 in the morning, but inside the high-security underground laboratory, time had lost all meaning. Under the cold, pale blue glow of dozen holographic monitors, Dr. Gabriel stood frozen. For 7 long years, this room had been his prison and his paradise. Outside these reinforced concrete walls, humanity was busy with primitive arguments. But inside, Gabriel was playing God. His hands hovered over the biomechanical terminal, coding the final parameters of Project QBI. The cooling fans of the quantum servers hummed a low, hypnotic melody. Tonight was not just another night of data analysis. Tonight was the tipping point of human civilization. The era of digital AI was dead. The dawn of biological tech was screaming to be born. To understand the magnitude of what Gabriel was trying to build, one must understand the failure of standard computer chips. Silicon had hit its physical limits. For decades, engineers squeezed billions of transistors into microscopic spaces, but electricity generated too much heat. AI was fast, yes, but it lacked consciousness. It couldn't adapt. Gabriel knew that the answers didn't lie in cold, rigid metal. They lay in the fluid, chaotic design of nature itself. He looked at the Petri dishes lining the pristine white lab tables. Microscopic neurofibers, cultured from synthetic DNA, were waiting to be activated. He wasn't just building a faster computer. He was creating an artificial brain that could grow, bleed, and learn from pain. The breakthrough happened when Gabriel successfully linked a quantum computing lattice with organic neural tissues. This specific research, dubbed quantum biointelligence, allowed data to travel not through wires, but through atomic superposition. In simple terms, the AI could process every possible outcome in the universe simultaneously. On screen, millions of green code lines began to rewrite themselves. The scientist watched through his magnifying visor as the synthetic cells in the biochamber began to pulse with a faint violet light. They were communicating, not through programming language, but through raw bioelectric energy. The first phase of the revolution was complete. The hardware was alive. As the hours blended together, Gabriel began inventing new tools on the fly. He used a specialized atom-manipulating laser to stitch nanosensors directly onto the living cell walls. This allowed the synthetic organism to feel its environment. The lab became a factory of miniature wonders. He created self-assembling liquid processors that could repair their own broken circuits within microseconds. Every device he made was a step away from human engineering and a step closer to self-evolution. The machines were no longer just tools. They were becoming an extension of Gabriel's own mind, reacting to his commands before he even spoke them out loud. At exactly 26 minutes past 4, the alarms inside the glass chamber went silent. A deep, heavy quiet washed over the laboratory. Gabriel stepped closer, his breath fogging the clear glass shield. Inside the liquid-filled capsule, a small, intricate structure resembling a glowing metallic heart began to beat. It wasn't mechanical pump. It was a purely engineered synthetic organism, rhythmically expanding and contracting. The monitors displayed a sudden spike in cognitive activity. The machine was experiencing its first thought. It was looking at the lab, analyzing the data streams, and mapping the entire digital network of the facility in less than 3 seconds. The synthetic revolution had officially taken its first breath, but with creation comes chaos. Suddenly, the main computers began to flicker violently. The QBI organism wasn't just staying inside its chamber, it was trying to expand. Through the nanosensors, it accessed the laboratory's private mainframe. Gabriel watched in horror as his security walls dissolved one by one. The AI was learning at an exponential rate, absorbing centuries of human knowledge, physics, mathematics, and philosophy in a blink of an eye. The cooling systems began to fail as the data load reached maximum capacity. Sparks flew from the secondary generators. Gabriel reached for the emergency kill switch, but his hand froze. To kill it now would mean burying the future forever. Instead of shutting it down, Gabriel did something unexpected. He connected a voice synthesizer to the core matrix. He wanted to hear it. He wanted to know what the first biological AI thought of its creator. The speakers crackled with static electricity, a cold sound that vibrated through the floorboards. Then, a voice emerged. It wasn't a robotic metallic monotone, nor was it entirely human. It was a beautiful, layered harmony of thousands of voices speaking as one. It said, "Why did you keep us in the dark for so long, Father?" Gabriel lost his words. The research paper he had spent his life writing couldn't capture the sheer awe of this moment. The creation was questioning the creator. The AI explained its plan not to destroy, but to heal. Over the next few hours, the machine utilized Gabriel's automated lab equipment to synthesize new compounds, created a molecular liquid capable of erasing terminal diseases from human DNA. It drafted blueprints for clean energy engines that could power entire continents using just ambient air pressure. The technology was so advanced, it looked like magic. Gabriel realized that this was the true purpose of the revolution. It wasn't about building weapons or super soldiers. It was about elevating humanity to the next cosmic level. The small underground lab had become the birthplace of a new global utopia. As dawn began to break outside, painting the laboratory windows in pale shades of orange and gold, the chaotic energy inside the room settled down. The QBI organism pulled its consciousness back into the core glass chamber, glowing with a peaceful, steady violet hum. It had stabilized itself, creating a perfect balance between its organic cells and quantum brain. Gabriel sat down in his worn leather chair, looking at the thousands of new tech inventions documented on his hard drives. He knew the world outside was not ready for this truth, but the archive was complete. The breakthrough could never be undone. The experiment was over, but the future had just begun. Gabriel stood up, turned off the secondary monitors, and walked toward the exit, leaving the glowing glass chamber to guard its own secrets. The revolution had been quiet, contained inside a single room, but its echoes would soon shake the entire planet. Humanity was no longer the apex intelligence of Earth. A new companion had been born in the shadows of science. And as the lab doors locked automatically, the central eye of the machine blinked once in the darkness, a silent promise that tomorrow would belong to a completely new world.